Hello and welcome to another edition of Another Book Review. This week I'll be reviewing The Cult of WeWork, Adam Newman, and the Great Startup Delusion by Eliot Brown and Maureen Farrell. Talk very briefly about the authors, go into an overview of what the book is about, talk about what I liked about the book, what I didn't like about the book, who I'd recommend the book to, and finish off with what I'll be reading for next time. Eliot Brown and Maureen Farrell are both reporters for the Wall Street Journal. They've also, I believe Maureen Farrell has worked for CNN, and Eliot has worked for the New York Observer. The book is a nonfiction reporting of the meteoric rise of WeWork and the catastrophic fall of the company over the course of, I think the company was private for 6 or 7 years, and over the course of that time the valuation grew to about $40 billion, and the book is really showing how that valuation came to be, what it was based upon, and why, when the IPO process began for WeWork, this kind of web of lies began to unravel, and in quick order it was determined that the company was really worth nowhere near that amount of money, and the IPO was scuttled. And the book is really an examination of everything from the business practices of the company, the founder, really focusing on Newman. The company was co-founded with another gentleman named Miguel McKelvey, who I'll talk about in a little bit. The founder, Adam Newman, is kind of the focus of the company and a focus of the book, as he's something of a messianic figure almost in some ways. Is just kind of believed in his own hype and believed he had the power to change things in the world, maybe beyond the ability that he actually did, and showed people kind of flocking to his charisma, him and his wife. And that is the book in a nutshell. It's really everything you wanted to know about the company. And I think the book does a good job of explaining, if you're someone who is not well-suited and well-knowledgeable about business terms, I think it does a good job of explaining what a venture capitalist is, what an IPO is. So I think it does a good job there. I think that the reporting on Adam Newman and his wife, Rebecca, I think was really interesting, just kind of seeing their personalities and how they drive this company, and how Adam Newman especially is able to kind of keep the engine running, always able to seemingly stay one step ahead of disaster in terms of raising more funds. And I think the book does a good job of explaining who this person is and why so many people were maybe enraptured by his vision for this company, which is really on its face really just a co-working space. The business model of WeWork is actually extremely simple. It was, I would go to a office space or at a building and say, hey, we'd like to rent out the floors or the building, and they would then take that space, do some remodeling, refurnishing, and then flip it essentially by turning it into short-term office rentals for startups and also single self-employed people. So that's how it would make money, charge people to use the space in a more flexible lease, which had been done before. But I think what was different about Adam Newman was he kind of gave everything a millennial sheen to everything, and basically tried to make the company tried to sell the company more on a basis of a tech speculation, even though the company at its roots really didn't have any tech aspects to it. So I thought that was really good. The Adam Newman-ness of it all, the reporting on his kind of antics, I thought was pretty interesting. So I think that the book is really what it is. I think it's well reported. I think it's well told. I think if I had some downsides to it, there's one part of the book where Rebecca Newman, Adam's wife, starts a school as kind of almost a division of WeWork. Has this idea of starting schools all over, tied to the company, and one of the chapters kind of goes into what one of those schools would have looked like had it expanded. Maybe you could have cut that. I don't think it was 100% necessary. It's not too many pages. I guess if there's one aspect or one hole in the reporting I wish that I had more information on is really McKelvey. McKelvey in this book really kind of takes a backseat to Newman, and my understanding is that's probably how it played out. As this book basically covers all the way up to the failure of the IPO and maybe a few months after that. But I would have liked to have learned more about him, what he did during this time. I think that they report that he did take some kind of payout with Newman relatively early on to shift more of the responsibility and more of the upside if the company were ever to go public onto Newman, but it wasn't quite clear what exactly that split was. So I was always kind of questioning what his role exactly was in the company and why he stayed around, because it's the way the book is reported, he didn't have a ton of say after a certain point. But from and then I guess the other only downside, the ending, the last couple pages in the epilogue maybe goes along for a couple pages too long. I think it could have been shortened a little bit there. But overall, it's a very quick read. If you're interested at all in learning about the company, I think it's a really in-depth look at it. You get a sense of why so many people fell under this guy's spell, and how at the end of the day, investment bankers and huge hedge funds and venture capitalists kind of conspired together to enable him to spend all this money. And the thing that I think is different with him than is maybe someone like Jeff Bezos early on in the company would just, even though Amazon wasn't profitable for a long time, the money that he made from Amazon went back into the company and he didn't take a giant payout. Newman is able to finagle a deal for himself to really enrich himself at the expense of other people. And you kind of see that throughout the book in an interesting way, that maybe something that was different. And you really do get a sense of him and his wife and their view of the company and their view of other people. I think is pretty eye-opening. So that is The Cult of We. Like I said, it's a pretty, I don't want to say standard because that may be dismissive, but it's pretty by-the-numbers book. If you're interested in kind of the rise and fall of WeWork, I would definitely recommend it. If you're someone who may not be interested in this company specifically, there are probably maybe other books to check out. I don't think this was on the level of something like a Barbarians at the Gate, or at really even the level of The Devil's Playbook, which I enjoyed a lot too, but it's really specific to understanding kind of delusional CEOs, for startup CEOs who think that they have kind of this delusion of grandeur, and how oftentimes the financial services are there to goad them on to doing bigger and bigger and bigger when they maybe should have more of a focus on profitability of their companies. But that's The Cult of We. Like I said, if you're interested at all in the story of WeWork, I would definitely check it out. If you're maybe less interested in that story and want maybe more of a different take on a different industry, maybe stay away from it. But overall, I thought it was well written. Cult of We. Next time I'll be reading Roberto Bolaño, The Savage Detectives. I may have a book or two in between this, but I will be starting Roberto Bolaño, The Savage Detectives. It is 700 pages, so it's quite a hefty tome. But I will be chipping away at that. Until next time, please like the video, subscribe to the channel. I'll leave a link below to those other two books I mentioned, both Barbarians at the Gate and The Devil's Playbook, if you want to check either one of those out. So you'll have it there below. Till next time, bye.